Here's my note card. Sorry. And now I'm going to introduce my live audience participants. Here we have Christopher Jones.
Hello.
And next we have Jelon Harris. Say hi, Jelon.
Hi.
Okay, and now we're going to start with my speech. Excuse me. Good afternoon. And today I'm going to speak about standardized testings, specifically why they're problematic within the school systems. Let's rewind the time and place yourself in the shoes of a high school student. Can you remember the anxiety and nervousness of having to take any achievement or graduation test to graduate? Well, I can because it wasn't that long ago. According to education.com, standardized testing does indeed promote a negative learning environment. I can attest to that because being a student in high school, I can remember how much emphasis was placed upon the test. Drawing back to those years, I can remember how nervous and anxious the students were, as well as the teachers, because of this huge test. And I just couldn't figure out why until I was explained the reasonings behind it. My opinion is this: standardized testing can have a negative impact on students, and it creates an educational division among students. Within this speech, I will discuss the impacts that standardized testing has upon a student, the negative effects, and the repercussions. Standardized testing is a huge concern for teachers and staff because they gain funding for positive test scores. This is indeed true because me, being an urban student in an urban area, I can remember the emphasis that was placed upon the test, and the students, well, the teachers rather, will actually tell us that, if we didn't pass the test, our school would get closed down. Urban low-income schools, however, have a greater number of failing students and they have limited resources. Thus, they cannot afford to pay for remediation as suburban schools can. Now, as I was saying before previously, standardized testing is a big deal upon urban schools, and especially in urban settings. And they don't have as much funding as suburban schools. So oftentimes when you have students failing the OGT, Ohio Graduation Test, multiple times, it's just like, what can they do? They don't have the funding, and they can't afford for teachers to stay after the required hours, the school hours. So as a result, the students can't have tutoring, they can't have any remediation classes or recitation classes, so you're just left with failing students. Whereas in the suburban area schools, they usually have the resources and the funding for school programs that can meet the students' academic needs. That is actually true because just going from a personal route, my cousin, he went to a suburban school and he had a problem with taking the OGT test. And actually, he was able to have tutoring and the other necessary resources to pass the test. According to Monet, standardized testing is used in schools to compare students against their peers, as well as state and local standards for schools' curriculum. Oftentimes, students often feel, like they are inferior to other students because they cannot pass a standardized test. I've seen that happen, and it's actually unfortunate. As a result, the dropout rate increases because students feel hopeless in regards to their education. When a school reaches a low enrollment rate, the school gets shut down. And, it gets shut down by the state, and there's really nothing that you can do about it. The students feel like they're inferior to other students because they cannot pass the test. Not only does standardized testing impact the students, but it affects the teachers as well. Because when a school closes down because of standardized testing, students and teachers are out of a job. So they have to go to other schools to find work. So standardized testing affects everybody as a whole. High-stakes classrooms impact students' learning on a social and emotional level. According to Henry, There is no research data showing that high-stake learning environments actually work to improve effort, achievement, or scholarship. Standardized testing impacts higher level learning because teachers spend a lot of time teaching subjects that are only covered on the test. And I think that's actually true because being from an urban school, we were forced to be teach to the test. We only had to learn the subjects that were upon the test. So being a student in college now, I can see where the divide is because subjects like physics and chemistry, I kind of have a knowledge about, but I really don't because it really wasn't touched upon in school. I have experienced the effects of standardized testing all my life, and I can honestly say that all of my points about standardized testing are completely true and valid. Standardized testing can have a negative impact on students, and it creates an educational division amongst the students and their peers. Thank you.